guys, hope you're all doing well. Today I'm bringing you some footage and information on a game called Project Zomboid. In this video I've just got some basic information and also an interview with a couple of the developers of the game who I caught up with at Rest a couple of weeks ago. So if you don't know anything about this game, I'm going to give you the general gist of it. So it's an open world survival horror game. It's set in a post-apocalyptic zombie infested world. As you can see, there's plenty of zombies and hordes floating around everywhere. Basically, the challenge is to survive for as long as possible before inevitably dying. That's literally it. You've got to survive for as long as you possibly can. So in the game, you've got to manage stuff like hunger, tiredness, pain, even things like mental stability. So you've got to make sure that those zombies aren't getting in your head and giving you nightmares, okay? It's dangerous. So you can scavenge around, you can search for supplies, for weapons, you can build barricades, you can board up windows, you can find food, it's got crafting in it. In other words, there's a lot of stuff to do. It's a proper hardcore survival zombie game. It's actually in alpha at the moment, so they're still building the game, but you can purchase it and that'll give you access to the game, so you can play it, you can talk about it on the forums, give your input, and yeah, just see how the game develops. It's a really cool concept and definitely not an easy game. You're going to die quite quickly. New players especially, the learning curve is pretty steep. Anyway, so a couple of weeks ago in the UK there was a game show called Rest. It's mainly focused on indie games. There are some bigger titles there, but yeah, they showcase some really cool indie projects and you can talk directly to the developers. You can see that they're very passionate about their projects, and it's cool to give these little companies a bit of exposure because they do make some really interesting ideas. So I caught up with Marina, who's an artist on the game, and Romain, who's a programmer. This is what they had to say.
Obviously zombie games are quite popular at the moment. Everyone loves an apocalypse and zombies. So what sort of a game is this? Can you tell us a little bit about the mechanics of the game? How does it play out?
Yeah, so it's a really realistic game. It's sandbox with some RPG stuff.
Okay.
You need to you can find food in the house, grow some crops, build some things in wood, build a wood bunker, for example. You can level up it's not like the Left 4 Dead game. You don't have to kill a lot of zombies. You can't kill a lot of zombies because you're gonna get scratched and you'll die.
Okay.
So you just have to sneak through zombie or kill one or two at a time, but not
Right.
much.
Okay, so it's a survival game at heart.
Yeah, so basically our game is more, we ask the question, what would you do if there's a zombie apocalypse? And our game wants to answer that. Like, so anything you want to do in a zombie apocalypse, you can do. That's what we want to, that's what we're aiming for.
Okay, cool. So in this game, you're going to die. Is there a way to survive, or are you always going to die?
There are ways to survive, but eventually you will die. There's no end game. It's more you survive as long as you can. It's just like in real life. No one can avoid death.
Yeah, it's quite sad, really. So what's the average life expectancy in a game?
Oh, we saw 2 years, but the average.
2 game years or actual years?
That's the longest ever.
That's the longest. But the average is like 1 month, 2 months, 3
It
months.
depends how good you are.
Yeah.
I'm really terrible at the game, so mine is much lower. As you play the game more, you will get better at it. Like, for example, at Res here, I guess the average would probably be like maybe a day or less. But when you play the game more, then you'll learn the strategies and like how to farm and things like that, and then you can last longer.
So it's quite a steep learning curve on this game. Beginners will die quite quickly.
I would say yeah, there's a learning curve. I'm not sure how steep it would be because it's more I don't play too many of these kinds of sandbox games, so I have a disadvantage. But like, what do you think? Do you think it's a steep learning curve?
Yes. Yeah, a bit.
So you've designed it to be like a hardcore, it's quite a tough game.
It's pretty hard, yes.
Okay, cool. So have you taken any inspiration from something like DayZ here? Are there any similar elements or completely different?
Not from DayZ because the game were before DayZ. We started the game before, but Left 4 Dead a bit for the sound, for example, and the atmosphere, and The Sims a bit. The graphics looks like The Sims a bit.
Yeah, well, the initial game design was more Chris and Andy, who aren't in this interview, and they took a lot of influences from a lot of different places. Yeah, Sims is the big one. Even Crusader Kings, when we get NPCs in, they want to have kind of emerging storylines and things like that, like from Crusader Kings. Even things like DayZ, like it's similar in many ways because we have a crafting and survival, but theirs is more focused on, I think, PvP, while ours is more like a single player. We do plan on adding multiplayer later on, but it's still primarily a single player experience.
Okay, I was going to ask about multiplayer. I noticed you've got some split screen stuff going on. So is that 2 players or?
Up to 4 players.
Okay.
Right now, and the multiplayer should come after the Steam release.
Right. And it's all about surviving together at the moment. There's no PvP elements at all, or?
No,
At the moment, not, no.
No. Okay, but that's no friendly fire.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So that.
We're not exactly sure how it's going to work yet.
Right. Okay. So that's something you're planning to add to the game. Have you gone into that much? Can you talk about that much, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, we don't want to go into too many details at this point, though we know it's what the number one feature we've always people are asking about, so we know what people want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So obviously in games like this, you said like Sim Hospital, The Sims, Roller Coaster Tycoon, lots of similar stuff. A lot of people like playing that on their own. So would you say, this is definitely more focused as a single player game, more refined, or?
For now, yes. It's more focused on the single player games. We're going to add NPCs too, but after, yes, it's going to be really. I think the multiplayer. Everyone will play multiplayer and maybe not single player.
Okay.
We never want to have multiplayer at the expense of single player, because we think a lot of games are multiplayer only, and it seems kind of they're kind of losing the single player audience. And we want to have both, but we never want to have one at the expense of the other, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So in the game, can you drive vehicles? Stuff like? Not yet.
But it's going to be in the game.
Okay. So what stage is the game at? Can you purchase it? Is it in alpha?
It's an alpha funding game, so
Okay.
you can purchase it for now on Desura, so like Steam for in the game, and maybe after on Good Old Games and Steam soon. Well,
Okay. Now, how much does it cost?
Currently £5.
£5.
At the alpha, though that price will go up as we continue development.
Okay. Well, it seems like a very reasonable price for a very cool looking game. So finally, describe your game in 3 words.
Well, we kept our card.
yeah. Survive, build, defend.
Survive, build, defend. That's very good. Okay, thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah, there we go, guys. Obviously 2 people who are very passionate about the game, and they're turning it into a cool survival experience, very hardcore, so make sure you check this one out. At the moment you have to have Desura to play the game, which is like a alternative indie version of Steam. They don't have the massive games on there, but they've got all these smaller indie projects, so yeah, make sure you get Desura, pick up the game, check it out. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. I've also got an interview coming up with the Sir You Are Being Hunted guys. I think I mentioned this in a video last week, but that's also a game that looks really cool, bit of an indie title. Leave me a rating and a comment, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.